All right, 99.9 Punk World Radio FM. You guys already know what time it is. And right here, right now, we are joined with Fort Erie, Ontario's own. That's right, we got an Ontario native here in the building. We got
Yeah,
Dylan, also known in the music world as Punch the Camel. Dylan, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Oh man, doing great, best I could possibly be. I gotta say, I love the stage name. I love the name Punch the Camel. I mean, that drew me in. I had to listen to your music, and I was like, man, the music lives up to the name 100%.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. It's definitely the best name ever. I would have
It
to say.
actually is, man. It is. And before we actually get, I gotta ask, before we actually get into the name, I have to ask, man, like, what actually sparked your passion for music, man? Because I listened to all your music, and I gotta say, you are actually one of the most talented artists that I've actually heard in a very long time.
Wow, I really appreciate that. I started playing piano and stuff when I was a little kid, and then I grew up listening to Red Hot Chili Peppers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when they came out with the whole Blood Sugar Sex Magic thing, I was into that. John Frusciante is for sure. He's the guy. Yeah, played piano for a bit when I was a kid, and then stopped and didn't really do anything until I was 20. And then I had I was in a few bands, doing original music and stuff like that in the early 2000s, and playing lots of gigs. And then I had a mishap with some like a drug addiction, and then I ended up going to Montreal for 6 months to a rehab, and then ended up meeting a bunch of musicians out there. So I moved out there to Montreal, and then played in another few bands there. And then around 2014, I moved back to Niagara Falls, and just started working and creating I've really only been doing my own songs for, let's say, 10 years. So prior to that, I was just a guitar player in bands, coming up with riffs and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I use the music as like a therapy, so that's what it is for me. So if other people like it, cool. That's like I do it for myself more than anything, so that I can, get through life. I don't know. It's all I do. Like, I wake up, I think about music, I play guitar, sing, I practice, I work on stuff. I have so many songs. I wish I had the funds to record them all. I keep applying for the Factor grants and all those grants and stuff, and I get denied. But man, if I had like the studio time to be in a studio, I would have 6 more albums right now completed.
And I got to say, first and foremost, man, congratulations on the sobriety. I just have to say that, man. That's a very tough thing to do, but you overcame it, and you're living your best life, man, and making the best music as well. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, I was hanging on by a thread there, to say the least. In the early 2000s, I wasn't doing well at all. But that was a long time ago. It's like a whole nother life to me. But yeah, now it's just, I just obsess with music. And that's when I forgot to, I skipped the whole Toronto thing. I came back and worked on all those songs in 2014, 2015, 2016, and I locked myself in my apartment and just wrote. And then yeah, around 2016, I moved to Toronto for a couple of years and I did all the open mics. I actually applied what I learned in rehab, the 90 and 90 days, the 90 meetings in 90 days. I did that with open mics. So I did 90 open mics in 90 days, and just, you know, worked on, because playing and singing by yourself is a lot different than being with a band, right? So so I worked on that, and then got a band going. We started getting, Punch the Camel going, and then the whole pandemic thing hit. And then when that hit, that's when I started working on the album. I sank everything I had into that for 2 years. So
And speaking of Punch the Camel, Dylan, I have to ask, because I know it's a cliche kind of question, but the name of the band is so very unique. I have to ask, how did you get the name, or how did you come up with the name Punch the Camel? If you definitely punched a camel, we got to know that story.
I did not personally punch a camel, but I used to work at a zoo years ago, and one of the trainers there did in fact punch the camel, and it spat at him. And then years later, I learned that in Conan, Arnold did it as well. There's like a famous clip that you can see on YouTube of that. And then my buddy just said, "Oh, that's a good band name," and that was it. the best band name ever was born.
I gotta say, I agree, and it's literally infused by a former coworker and infused by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Man, you can't go wrong.
That's right. There's multiple reasons why I have that name. So, but I love it, and it's easy to remember. It's a lot easier than my name. I do have I have music. I don't know if did you listen to any of the stuff under just Dylan Tykalis? I have like an album I just released 2 months ago. It's completely different than the rock stuff.
I will admit I have not had the opportunity to check that out, but it's going to give me something to listen to later on tonight. So
it's pretty dark, but whatever. I like to do dark music. I'm not like a dark person or depressed or anything like that. I'm pretty happy actually. But yeah, I like I feel like, especially with acoustic, playing acoustic guitar and singing, I've kind of developed my own style within whatever genre I'm in. I don't. Everybody says the album stuff sounds like throwback to '90s, which I get all the time. I honestly don't hear that, especially when the songs are in their acoustic form. They're just good songs. So I don't know, if you put like an electric guitar and drums and bass, sure, it can become a '90s song or whatever people want to, or whatever. It's cool if that's. I love '90s. I grew up in that era, so it's for sure. And maybe it does sound like that. Maybe I'm just delusional. I have no idea. But to me, like, the songs are acoustic when they start, and they just have their own kind of vibe, dark, eerie kind of vibe that I like. And I just kept working on that and trying to still working on it, trying to just develop my own, style and whatever. I don't know. I guess
and
that's it.
also, and I also, speaking of this album that you've been mentioning, it's actually an amazing 7-track album that you actually released May 13th of 2022. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a little bit more about the story and inspiration behind this amazing record, because I do know you said you actually did it during COVID, but I was wondering if you can tell us a bit more about like what all went into it, and of course, where can we actually snag ourselves a copy of it today?
It's everywhere. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon. Yeah, you can get it everywhere. There's a bunch of videos that I did for it as well, on YouTube. Um, yeah, when I started recording it, what was the question again?
Oh, just like what's like the story and inspiration behind it?
Um, yeah, I don't know. The songs are just all inspired throughout life, I guess. But the making of the album was kind of interesting. I hired 2 studio musicians to, because I wanted the album to be like a rock album, live off the floor kind of thing, like the old school recordings. And so we got in a studio and you know recorded it live off the floor, and then I went and overdubbed the guitar and vocals and whatever. And I feel that it got like it I don't know, like in today's world, everybody just records one instrument at a time, and it loses that whole band feel that a lot of, maybe that's why it sounds like a '90s album. I have no idea, but it just loses that whole feel of seeing a band live or seeing something live. So I wanted to kind of try and recreate that. Hopefully, I did a decent job. Once I got into it, though, yeah, I liked what we had, and then I wanted to get it mixed properly, so I sent it to Glenn Robinson in Montreal. He did like the Tea Party and what did he do? He did a bunch of other stuff. And then we sent it to Howie Weinberg in LA, who did like the Chili Peppers and Nirvana and Master of Puppets and that, to master it. And he did a great job. And yeah, and then I worked on a bunch of videos for it, and yeah, I put like 20 grand into that album. So I hope a couple of people listen to it, because it's good. I'm very, very happy with how it turned out. And yeah, I don't know. I just want to try and get out and play more shows is the game plan for 2025. I want to set up a Canadian tour. I'm in the midst of working on that right now. But it won't be a full band thing. I want to do like an acoustic thing, and just do the solo acoustic route. But they're still rock songs. So when I say acoustic, don't get scared. They're still there. But yeah, I want to do that, and then just and get the name out there, and then yeah, just keep working. I know
And I
that
know
wasn't
when you,
quite your
I was
question.
going to say, I know when you said beginning of the interview that you were a huge Chili Peppers fan back in the day, so it must have been a surreal moment to get Howie Weinberg, an individual that actually worked alongside the Chili Peppers for an album. Just have that producer credit on your record, man. It must be a surreal
Yeah,
moment for you.
it was awesome. And he actually called me and to tell me how much he liked the album, which I don't know if he does for everybody or not, but I thought that was pretty cool. Got like his approval on it. So, but yeah, no, that's yeah. Anything we did two masters as well. We did an analog master and a digital master. And so for any audio nerds or whatever, there's two versions out there, and one's analogy and one's not. One's digital. But no, they both sound kind of different. They have their own vibes, in my opinion. The average person probably couldn't hear the difference, but so wanted to put them both out there for that reason.
And I got to say, I love the music video for Runnin', man. I really love just the visuals, like just everything you put into it. It looks like it was actually filmed on an old farm.
That's the zoo where the guy punched the camel. That's why you've seen the bears there. So that's the zoo that I used to work at. I got permission to film the video back there, so I did that.
Too bad you couldn't have like the guy back there doing a cameo, like punching a camel, like not maybe not actually physically, because I mean YouTube they'll probably flag it for animal cruelty, but like make it look like he's actually just decking a camel, just to kind of add to the name,
We thought about it, but it was too dangerous. Nobody wanted to go near the camel, so that thing's actually the camel that's in there has busted 3 or 4 of those big water tanks just humping it, just because they're just big, clumsy, so it'll kill you, just it'll maul you to death. Those things are nuts, man. They're not anything to mess around with. But I have to say, on a side note, I noticed you're a wrestling fan, correct?
That I am, yeah. Probably a little too much, but yes, definitely.
Yeah. I grew up a big wrestling fan as well. Are you familiar with CZW Tournament of Death at all? Or
I've heard of it. I have, yeah.
Yeah. I've been to a couple of those, and I've been to like a bunch of wrestling for forever, but I've been to a couple of those. The first death match tournament I ever went to, in the very first match, the guy hit Tournament of Death 12. The guy hits the guy with curtain rods. It busted off, flinged into the crowd, and hit me. Right, so they gave me tickets to their next event, and then the hotel room I got that was in Philly was right next to where all the guys were staying afterwards or whatever. So me and my buddy were like, "Hey, let's go check it out." We went over. Do you know who Necro Butcher is?
I've heard of him. Yeah. Oh yeah.
You've seen the movie The Wrestler, right?
Yeah.
He's the guy in the deathmatch scene, the CZW deathmatch scene, where they have all the glass. He looks like a hillbilly.
Okay,
okay.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
He opened the door up of the hotel room, and we're like, "Whoa, what's this?" Okay, so it was fun. We had a good time. But no, I just noticed that you're into wrestling and stuff. I'm also a huge wrestling fan. More so back in the day. I like the older stuff, to be honest with you. But
I honestly, I agree with the old stuff, man. I collect the old wrestling DVDs and whatnot, and I go back and watch those. But I still try and keep up with everything. It's just it doesn't have the same vibe or the same feel as it used to. But
no,
I mean, if you're a fan for so long, you just feel obligated at this point to just watch it.
Exactly. I tune in just to see what's going on, so I'm not out of the loop. But yeah, there's a good thing on WWE's Vault channel. They just put out all this classic stuff they've been putting out, and I've been watching that nonstop, just all the old '90s stuff, and it brings me back. Yeah, it's good stuff.
And I love how they actually released some of the old tapes there with like no commentary, just the dark matches before or after the show. And you see how like they're setting up and getting everything going. You hear the camera guys talking about useless shit, and you're like, dude, like some of this should not be released, but thank you.
I found some of the old. I used to go watch at the Niagara Falls Convention Center. I'm pointing as if you know where I am, but I'm right in Fort Erie. So Niagara Falls Convention Center. I used to watch all the wrestling matches there in the early '90s, and they used to do TV tapings there. And I found a couple of the TV tapings online where I was at, and could like kind of spot myself over there as a little kid. It's kind of cool. Just that you can see all that stuff nowadays. That's what I'm like. And all the old NWA stuff I love.
Have you watched some of the new NWA? Like, I guess obviously it's not the same
Billy
NWAs back in the
Corgan?
day.
Billy Corgan's?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I messaged him a few times trying to get my music on there.
Did you
Yes.
get anything? Get any replies from him?
No, no.
Man, I tried to reach out to him for an interview so many times. Honestly, it's kind of obviously I have like a punk rock, alternative rock station, so obviously it was because of the Smashing Pumpkins, and
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I said it wasn't more because of NWA.
Well, he still plays both parts though. Like in the wrestling there, he still plays Billy Corgan, even though I guess he goes by William, right? But or doesn't he? He goes by something different.
I think so. Did you see the controversy on the guy from one of the wrestlers from NWA? I guess like 2 years ago, he like snorted cocaine in the ring or something like that. Then he became a giant meme all over the internet.
No, I didn't see that. No. Wow. Gone that far now, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was a work. I don't know if it was real, but I mean, it a line was there and then it disappeared. So I mean, I don't know. There's some things you just can't fake.
Yeah. Wrestlers do crazy things, so I wouldn't put it from
But also, November 16th of 2024, you actually released your most recent single titled "In the Way." I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this most recently released single, and of course, where can we actually stream it today? Because this is an amazing single.
Oh, right on. Thank you. Yeah, that one is it's same deal. You can find it anywhere. Spotify, yeah, Apple Music, YouTube, anywhere. That was just a leftover song from the album that I didn't put on the album. It was had it recorded around the same time. Maybe that one might have been a little bit after, but yeah, that one was done about a year ago, and so I didn't release it for however long. There's a song before that too called "Fade Fade Away" that I released, just an acoustic track. I don't know if you heard that one or not, but that one I recorded a couple months ago at the studio here in Fort Erie, and did that just for a acoustic-y song, just something else out there. But yeah, just working on. I want to do another rock album, so I want to work on getting another one out because I have, like I said, all these songs. So it's just getting the resources to do it, pretty much.
And I know you just mentioned like getting the resources and a new album, but as well, we just spoke about the new single. And I guess this kind of answers my next question: if there will be any new music in the foreseeable future. But is there plans to actually release this new and up and coming rock album in 2025, or is it going to be a little bit later than
Uh, I don't know. There's definitely going to be. I'll definitely have singles released in 2025, but I want to do like another full album the right way again, just like I did with the other one. It's gonna cost, for what I want it to do, for how I want it to
that?
sound. It's gonna cost a little bit of money, so I gotta just save up and do that. But in the meantime, I always do singles along the way. Keep working on new songs. Um, but yeah, definitely want to get out and play a lot more than I have been in the last couple of years. I mean, before the whole thing happened a few years ago or whatever, I was playing like crazy, right? And then once everything shut down, just yeah, it took me a minute to get back in. And played a bunch of gigs last year, but yeah, just I want to get outside of my area here and outside. I'm back and forth between here and Toronto all the time playing. But I'd like to go. I'd like to go in the States. I'd like to go everywhere and just tour the right way eventually. But that's my game plan. I'm working on something right now for 2025 in Canada. But that's my game plan for that. And yeah, I'll definitely have a couple. To answer your question, I'll definitely have a couple singles for sure. Released in 2025. An album, I'm not sure if that's going to be done. Yeah, I don't want to say no because who knows, right? I don't know. Maybe like I work on trying to get grants all the time too, so maybe I'll get a grant, and it's not going to take me long to do an album. I could record it and have it mixed and mastered and done within 2 months. Not even. So it's just a matter of getting the money to do it right. I want it to sound good, right? So uh, I want it to be at least up par with the other album, as far as sounding, professional and good.
And also, aside from the album we spoke about, the single, and of course you actually wanting to do a Canada wide tour, what is next for yourself, Punch the Camel? Like, is there anything we happen to miss during this evening's interview? Anything else you do still want to touch on, talk about it, or discuss? Well, we still got you here live on the radio station airwaves.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I think we're kind of going over everything. I think, yeah, I don't know. Just keep working on music, man. I don't know. I literally just, it's not just like I wake up and be like, okay, I'm going to write a song today. And, I'm going to, I do think about preparing an album for next year and this and that too. But I literally just wake up and play all day. Just, that's just what I do. Like, it's not even like a hobby or anything anymore. It's just like, I guess, my way of life. So, you know, um, yeah, just working on lots of stuff. And like I said, I also released that other album under my own name 2 months ago. You can get that also on Spotify, or that's under Dylan Tykalis. So you can get that on Spotify or wherever else too. And so I'm working on music 24/7. Yeah, I don't think you can ever work enough on songs. I think they just keep getting better and better the more you work on them. Especially if you don't have any plans of recording them all anytime in the near future, then why not just craft them and work on them and get them as good as they possibly could be. I try and be creative every day. That's my game plan. That keeps me happy. So I don't know.
And before we actually part ways here tonight, Dylan, I have to ask, man, how can we actually go about following you and Punch the Camel across all social media platforms? That way we can stay updated on the new album, the potential Canadian tour, and everything else in between and after and before, if we're not already doing so.
Yes, I'm most active on Instagram. So that's Punch the Camel. And yeah, you can find me Punch the Camel, Facebook, Twitter, or X, whatever it is now. Yeah, or just Google Punch the Camel and stuff will come up. I actually just did some press release. I know it's been 2 years, but I just did some press for the album 2 years later. I don't know why, but hey, so now Lie to Me is kind of being pushed around as a single again now because nobody heard it the first time. You know what I mean? I don't feel like it did. A lot of the numbers on my songs are from when I did Google ads and I had no idea what I was doing, and they were probably going to Brazil and countries that can't even understand what I'm saying. So I don't feel like my album has even really been heard yet, to be honest with you. It still feels very underground or unheard, or it's just yeah. So I'm trying to at least put a little bit more money into pushing that. Now I didn't promote it when I did it. That was the other thing. That was my biggest mistake. Was I spent $3,000 on a radio promotion in the States. I don't know why, on a college radio promotion, and I don't even think that they did it. I'm almost positive it was just a scam. And so after that, I pretty much put all this money into my album, and then release day had crickets because I didn't have any promotion or anything, right? So now I just had a little bit of extra cash, so doing what I should have done 2 years ago, even though it's 2 years later, but whatever.
And I will say this: I feel like I might get some heat for this. I might. So hopefully, none of my classmates are listening, but not all of them, just some. When I'm in college for radio broadcasting myself, so I will say, when it comes to college radio stations, is ran by students, so some people take it more seriously than others. So I'm sure the song was probably played, just not as much as it was supposed to, because honestly, some people kind of just don't really go in for their shift, or they don't really run the station properly. So a few people probably knew what to do. The other people were like, I don't know what to do. Screw it. So I will say it probably was played, just not as much as it was as much as you paid for.
It might have got a few plays in Wisconsin or something. I don't know, or Nebraska. I don't know. But why? Why didn't I do a Canadian one? I don't know. Who knows? I got talked into it, and I fell for it like a sucker. And whatever, you live and learn. But that was $3,000 that I could have put to good Canadian promotion, which I should have done. But yeah, things happen for whatever reason. But I don't give up on anything as far as music goes. So I'm just going to keep doing my thing, and something eventually will come through. I email agents and promoters every single day, all day long. Eventually somebody's going to answer one of my emails and I'll start getting some good gigs, and things will start happening. Hopefully, I'm pretty positive. Well, I'm looking forward to the future. I think good things will happen. So.
And I got to say, first and foremost, Dylan, thank you so much for giving not only myself, but the radio station Airways a bit of your time, man. It was such an honor speaking with Fort Erie, Ontario's own tonight. Hopefully down the line we can make this happen again sometime soon. But for now, man, definitely have yourself a phenomenal Sunday night and a kick-ass week as well, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And it was nice meeting you.
Hey, it was nice meeting you as well, Dylan. Thank you so much. And anything you need radio station wise, don't hesitate to reach out. I promise I will not charge you $3,000. Okay, if you send it, we here at 99.9 FM we will spin it. So you send it, we'll play it.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good.
Have a good night, man. Thank you so much.
You too. Take care.